You won't believe this. Andre Castravette and Elizabeth Potast, two of 90 Day Fiancé's most talked about stars, are officially banned for life from TLC. Gone. No announcements, no final episodes, just vanished. How does a couple who dominated headlines, tweets, and Instagram reels suddenly disappear from the network forever? The question isn't just what happened, it's why it took this long, and what finally pushed TLC to pull the plug. Hi, I'm Jessica from Reality Spots, and today we're going to unpack one of the most jaw-dropping exits in reality TV history. Make sure you hit subscribe and drop a comment below. Do you think this ban was deserved, or did TLC overreact? I want to hear your take. Andre and Elizabeth weren't just cast, they were crafted. Every fight, every dramatic confrontation, every shocking cultural clash was a piece of the puzzle that made fans stop scrolling. On camera, they were unstoppable. Viewers loved to hate them, and hate watch numbers were off the charts. Ratings? Sky high. But here's where it gets interesting. Off camera, things weren't just messy. They were allegedly chaotic, unpredictable, and sometimes downright unmanageable. Crew whispers, production delays, and behind-the-scenes dramas painted a very different picture than what we saw on the screen. It's tempting to think reality TV is all about the spectacle we see, but Andre and Elizabeth's story is a reminder that the cameras only capture half the story. And the half you don't see? That's where the real drama was building. Every missed scene, every argument off set, every late-night showdown with producers stacked the odds against them. By the time TLC made their move, the decision wasn't about who got the most clicks. It was about risk, control, and long-term brand safety. And trust me, this isn't the kind of chaos that can just be edited out in post-production. The consequences of going too far off camera were about to hit harder than any on-screen fight ever could. But the most shocking part? What actually happened behind closed doors might make everything you saw on TV look like child's play. When Andre and Elizabeth first hit our screens, it felt like the ultimate reality TV recipe. High-drama couple, cultural clashes, and family tensions served up in bite-sized, bingeable episodes. Andre, with his bold confidence and unpredictable energy, paired with Elizabeth's sharp wit and no-nonsense attitude, made for moments that fans couldn't stop talking about. Every fight, every eyebrow raise, every "I can't believe she said that" line became a clip that circulated online for weeks. Fans were hooked. Social media lit up with memes, reactions, and endless speculation. Viewers loved dissecting every fight, every minor slip-up, and every strategic confession to the cameras. The couple's on-screen chaos made for perfect viral content. They weren't just stars, they were conversation starters. The kind of cast members producers dream about. Guaranteed engagement, guaranteed clicks, guaranteed drama. But here's the tension nobody fully saw at first. While audiences were fascinated by the culture clashes and family disagreements, there were early warning signs that this high-drama persona could become a double-edged sword. Andre's impulsive energy, Elizabeth's refusal to play by the expected reality TV script, and their shared tendency to escalate even small disagreements hinted that this couple thrived on chaos, but perhaps not in a sustainable way. The charm that made them magnetic on camera could also make them volatile off camera. What looked like witty banter or playful manipulation in front of the lenses sometimes spilled over into moments that frustrated family members, confused crew members, and even left producers scrambling. Fans saw the fights, the smirks, the comebacks, but they didn't see the pressure building behind the scenes. The tension between what was entertaining and what was manageable. Even in those early seasons, there were whispers. Crew members allegedly struggled to keep scenes on schedule. Family conflicts weren't always contained to the script. Andre and Elizabeth seemed to enjoy pushing boundaries, testing limits, and keeping everyone on their toes. And while that made for gold in clips and compilations, it was the kind of behavior that slowly eroded patience and trust behind the camera. Fans were laughing, retweeting, and sharing. But backstage, the clock was ticking. What felt like harmless entertainment was quietly stacking stress for everyone involved. The balance between fame and fallout was already tipping. The real drama wasn't just what the cameras caught, it was how far they would push before it all collapsed. The cameras captured the fights, the drama, and the viral moments. What viewers didn't see was the chaos lurking just beyond the lens. Andre and Elizabeth weren't just unpredictable on screen, they were reportedly testing limits off screen too. Scene refusals became a recurring headache. Simple requests like filming a family dinner or a confession cam suddenly turned into standoffs. Every shoot risked delays, arguments, and frustrated crew members trying to keep things on track. Production teams are used to challenges, but this was different. Andre and Elizabeth weren't just bending rules, they were reshaping them to fit their own narrative. Crew members allegedly spent hours documenting disruptions, late arrivals, last-minute demands, and emotional outbursts. Even small moments could spiral. A missed cue could lead to a half-hour argument. A miscommunication could trigger weeks of tension. The stress wasn't just logistical, it was emotional. For those working behind the scenes, morale started to drop. Producers found themselves walking a tightrope between capturing gold star content and managing two personalities who seemed to thrive on conflict. Cameramen, editors, and coordinators had to absorb the tension, smoothing over scenes, rewrites, and unpredictable reactions. Off-camera tantrums were reportedly becoming almost as dramatic as what made the show a hit. What's crucial here is that these weren't isolated incidents. Early hiccups could have been chalked up to personality clashes or first-season nerves, but patterns began to emerge. Andre's impulsivity and Elizabeth's refusal to cooperate with standard production routines became consistent. Emails, internal reports, and even casual notes suggested a growing concern. The same behaviors that made them entertaining were also making them increasingly unmanageable. Fans might have thought they were just watching entertainment unfold, but behind the polished edits, production faced a constant balancing act. Every episode was a gamble. Would the couple cooperate today, or would a tantrum derail the schedule? The unpredictability became exhausting, and some crew members allegedly questioned whether the content value outweighed the stress load. It was only a matter of time before the patterns, the disruptions, and the growing risks reached a tipping point that the network could no longer ignore. The drama that built their fame might also be what ended it. At first, Andre and Elizabeth were a magnet for clicks. Every argument, every family clash, every culture shock moment had fans talking. Social media buzzed with excitement, memes spread like wildfire, and for a while, it seemed like the couple could do no wrong. The ratings were proof. Chaos was profitable. But as seasons progressed, that initial fascination began to fade. What was entertaining became exhausting. Fans started posting long threads about the repetitive fights, the endless manipulations, and the same explosive reactions recycled episode after episode. The charm that once drew viewers in now sparked eye rolls. The viral moments that built their fame were turning into fatigue points. Hate watch emerged as a real phenomenon. Some viewers tuned in not for the drama itself, but to see who would snap next, what stunt would go too far, or which rule would be broken this time. Engagement numbers told a story. Comments shifted from amusement to frustration, likes plateaued, and share rates dipped. Petitions appeared online, asking the network to reconsider casting them in future seasons. The couple who had once driven social media frenzy were now fueling fan exasperation. This shift is subtle but powerful. There's a difference between meaningful engagement, fans reacting because they care, and viral chaos that only survives on outrage. Andre and Elizabeth were starting to tip the balance. What once made them the stars became a liability, and that tension did not escape TLC executives. Internally, production teams reportedly tracked fan sentiment closely, noting a slow but steady erosion of goodwill. The irony is sharp. Fame built on drama had a shelf life, and the audience was now giving a verdict. Too much of the same chaos is exhausting, no matter how entertaining it looked on screen. Ratings and clicks still mattered, but they mattered less than brand reputation and long-term audience retention. Somewhere behind closed doors, the network was asking a quiet but critical question. Are Andre and Elizabeth still worth the trouble, or is the cost of their chaos finally outweighing the profits? For months, TLC tolerated Andre and Elizabeth's chaos. Ratings were strong, social media buzz was high, and every explosive moment was a guaranteed click. The network had a delicate calculus. Drama sells, but drama costs, and not all costs are visible on camera. Every delay, every tantrum, every scene refusal added logistical headaches and legal considerations that quietly piled up behind the scenes. Sources suggest the network began documenting every incident meticulously. Notes on missed shoots, outbursts, and production interference were compiled in internal reports. Editors quietly reduced their screen time in episodes, subtly shifting focus to other couples to test audience reaction. Legal teams started reviewing contracts and potential liabilities. This wasn't a knee-jerk reaction, it was a measured, strategic approach. TLC knew the couple had been profitable, But long-term toxicity had started to outweigh short-term gains. The decision to issue a permanent ban wasn't announced with fanfare. It was surgical. Internal memos reportedly framed it as a risk management move. Protect the production crew, safeguard the network brand, and prevent further audience erosion. Andre and Elizabeth were removed not because they were uninteresting, but because their behavior had become unsustainable. The decision was executed quietly to avoid inflaming social media backlash or giving the couple a platform to spin a narrative. For the cast, the news landed like a shockwave. Suddenly, the fame that had defined their lives was cut off. Isolation followed. Without the cameras rolling, the adrenaline that fueled their on-screen personas vanished, leaving them to confront both personal and professional consequences. Friends and family reported a mix of disbelief, frustration, and emotional volatility. Andre and Elizabeth faced the harsh reality that reality TV fame, once abundant, was entirely network-controlled. Psychologically, the impact was profound. Confidence built on constant attention collided with a sudden vacuum of relevance. Social validation, so intricately tied to their on-screen chaos, was withdrawn. Even for people used to high-pressure situations, the abruptness of a permanent ban can trigger shock, denial, and anger. Andre and Elizabeth thought the cameras leaving meant a new beginning. Without TLC controlling their schedule, they jumped straight into social media, YouTube channels, TikTok clips, lifestyle vlogs, all promising the same drama, the same energy that had made them famous. But the transition was tougher than they expected. Fame built on network exposure doesn't automatically transfer online. Views trickled in, engagement lagged, and the comments were far from the adoring or outraged audience they had on TV. The algorithm didn't care about their past drama. It only responded to clicks and watch time. Fans who had once tuned in every week weren't guaranteed to follow them onto new platforms. Early viral moments became distant memories, and the novelty of Andre and Elizabeth chaos wore off fast. Where their on-screen fights used to spark thousands of reactions and heated discussions, social media now returned crickets, mixed with a fair dose of we're over it fatigue. Every post felt like chasing shadows, trying to recreate a lightning strike that only happened on TLC sets. Psychologically, this was a harsh reality. Without production teams, editors, and storyboards to shape every moment, their content felt raw, and raw wasn't enough to capture mass attention. They were no longer packaged as the villain couple designed to drive engagement. They were just two people with cameras, attempting to reconstruct the magic that had vanished when the network pulled the plug. Audience perception shifted from fascination to indifference. The intrigue that had once surrounded their family arguments, cross-cultural tension, and explosive personalities evaporated. Fans who had loved to hate watch were busy with new cast members, fresh storylines, and real-life drama unfolding elsewhere. Andre and Elizabeth were suddenly another set of influencers struggling to stand out in a crowded, ever-changing social media ecosystem. The contrast couldn't have been starker. On TLC, every gesture, argument, and reaction was amplified. Online, the same behavior registered as repetitive, forced, or even unrelatable. They were discovering that reality TV fame is transactional, dependent on controlled exposure, timing, and audience loyalty. Remove any of those variables, and the structure collapses. Reality TV fame can feel unstoppable when it's happening, but Andre and Elizabeth's journey shows just how fragile it really is. On screen, they seemed larger than life, their fights explosive, their personalities impossible to ignore. Off-screen, however, that fame was transactional. Every viral moment, every scandalous clip, every fan reaction was a temporary boost, dependent on network control, editing choices, and audience attention. Remove one piece of that puzzle and the illusion collapses. Online, without TLC's amplification, they discovered the hard truth. Algorithms don't care about past notoriety, and audiences have very short memories. Psychologically, the withdrawal hit hard. Stepping away from cameras wasn't just a logistical change, it was a social and emotional shock. The constant validation, even if it came from drama or criticism, disappeared. For someone used to being watched, liked, and debated over, the sudden silence can feel like erasure. Stress, uncertainty, and the hollow feeling of being irrelevant crept in. Fame hangovers, as some psychologists call them, aren't glamorous. They're disorienting, emotionally taxing, and can lead to intense self-reflection. Elizabeth responded differently than Andre. Instead of chasing clicks or viral outrage, she retreated. Her social media presence slowed, toned-down posts replaced sensational content, and she appeared more introspective. She seemed to understand, perhaps faster than Andre, that clinging to the spotlight without the structure and support of a network was exhausting and, ultimately, unsustainable. Quiet acceptance, reflection, and focusing on life beyond cameras became her coping mechanism. Andre, meanwhile, oscillated between attempts to reclaim attention and grappling with the reality that fame built on chaos is difficult to sustain independently. The difference in their approaches highlights a broader lesson. Reality TV can amplify personalities, but it doesn't teach long-term resilience or media strategy. Andre and Elizabeth's saga didn't just end with their ban. It left ripples that reality TV producers and networks can't ignore. Behind the scenes, their chaos became a cautionary tale. Contracts grew stricter, clauses on behavior and off-camera conduct were enforced more aggressively, and production teams started tracking potential risks earlier. Andre and Elizabeth had been profitable while they were unpredictable. But the cost of constant disruption, delayed shoots, crew stress, legal headaches proved that high drama isn't always worth the price. For TLC, they were the ultimate case study in balancing chaos against brand integrity. The network had to weigh every tweet, petition, and viral clip against potential damage to its image and future production schedules. Andre and Elizabeth showed that a couple engineered for maximum engagement can easily tip from viewer fascination to viewer frustration. And once that line is crossed, it's nearly impossible to reclaim loyalty or trust. From a human perspective, it's easy to focus only on the spectacle, but the story also highlights mistakes on multiple levels. Off-camera volatility escalated because boundaries weren't respected, emotional regulation failed, and communication broke down repeatedly. Production may have tolerated smaller infractions for ratings, but without early intervention and structured guidance, the situation snowballed. Fans often see only the on-screen fights, but the real damage was cumulative. Stress, missed deadlines, and the erosion of relationships with crew and network decision-makers. Andre and Elizabeth's trajectory also teaches aspiring reality stars an important lesson. Fame built on engineered chaos is fleeting, and loyalty, whether from fans, networks, or collaborators, is conditional. The very traits that make a cast member must-watch in the moment can become liabilities if not tempered with professionalism, foresight, and self-awareness. Even after the cameras stop rolling, reality TV doesn't really let go. Andre and Elizabeth may be banned for life, but the questions they left behind are still buzzing. What exactly tipped the scales for TLC? Could stricter oversight have saved their careers, or was their story always destined to implode? Fans and insiders alike are still debating, and the franchise itself is quietly adjusting its approach to cast management. Andre's ambition hasn't faded. He's hinted at revealing behind-the-scenes secrets, promising exposés on how reality TV really operates. But here's the catch. The very network that built his platform controls the narrative, and without that infrastructure, his reach is far smaller. Social media algorithms favor fresh faces, trending controversies, and consistent posting. Fame built on disruption doesn't translate smoothly into long-term influence. His attempts to pivot online show just how fragile and transactional this kind of celebrity can be. Elizabeth, on the other hand, has taken a quieter path. She posts selectively, reflects more privately, and seems focused on personal growth rather than public attention. This contrast highlights an important lesson about reality TV. Surviving the aftermath requires more than notoriety. It requires self-awareness, adaptability, and the ability to engage audiences without relying solely on drama. For TLC, Andre and Elizabeth's exit is also a learning moment. Contracts will likely be tougher, rules clearer, and monitoring stricter. Every production now has a blueprint for identifying risky behavior before it escalates. And yet, there's also an ongoing risk for the franchise itself. Casting bold, chaotic personalities draws viewers, but it comes with the possibility of repeat incidents. The balance between entertainment and sustainability is delicate, and the ripple effects of this couple's story will influence casting decisions for seasons to come.